Okay, hello everyone. Let me turn down my calming music here. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to our fourth presentation for Student Mental Health Week in the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. I've got a whole bunch of counselors with me today. So this recording will be shared on suhaicounseling.com for you to access in the future. So you're more than welcome to watch today's video and the other 3 videos from earlier this week. So we'll have one more presentation tomorrow, Friday at 2:30, same link. So we hope you'll join us then. So today our presentation is about stress. So today we're going to talk about stress, what stress is all about, how it affects you, and how you can help yourself when you're feeling stressed out. And so before we start talking, we're going to play ball. Who likes to play ball? Mr. Briney likes baseball. He's a huge Dodgers fan.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's play ball. Okay, so here's some beach balls. Who can juggle? Mrs. Garcia, can you juggle? No, I can't either. Oh, Mr. Brady, you can juggle? I should have gave you something to juggle so you could show us. So here's Mr. Briney juggling. I wouldn't do that with fire. Fire's dangerous. Don't do this.
This one's me juggling. The other one wasn't me. This one's me.
Oh, okay. Don't try that at home. This one. Don't try this at home. Don't do that. So all of us, your 3 counselors that are here, all of you at home watching, you're all juggling. We're juggling all types of things. We're juggling school. Hey, maybe some of you feel like this. You're juggling your math homework and all these concepts. You're juggling all of your schoolwork. Sometimes we feel like this. Your counselors feel like this when it's time to schedule all 2,700 students at Sweetwater High School. This is what we feel like during that time, during this time, because that's what we're doing right now. Sometimes we feel like this when we're juggling all those different thoughts and we're trying to keep thoughts organized in our minds, but then it feels like this. Sometimes we feel like this. Oh my gosh. He looks stressed out. High school stress. Love, money, body image, future, family, college. So we're not only juggling our academics, but we're juggling all kinds of other things that are on our minds and in our hearts. It's kind of hard to separate those things. All those things are happening all at the same time in our minds. And then sometimes we get to this point where we just give up. We run out of steam, we run out of battery, and we're just done. We're done. We can't give anymore. We can't try anymore. We're done. And then sometimes we feel like this. My dog looks like this right now. She needs a haircut, but sometimes I look like this. You can ask Mr. Briney and Mrs. Garcia. I start doing this weird thing to my hair when I'm stressed out. Like I put it in a bun. I wrap my scarf around my head. So when they start seeing me doing weird things to my hair, that's when my counselor friends know that Mrs. Loansing is stressed out when I start doing weird stuff to my hair. So yes, we're talking about stress. We've got lots of those images we just looked at, dealing with stress, what stress looks like, what stress feels like this. Okay, so what is stress? Stress is the confusion created when your mind overrides the basic desire to choke the living daylights out of somebody who desperately needs it. Sometimes we get so frustrated, we need an outlet. Sometimes we start yelling at people. Sometimes we hit things. Sometimes we slam things. When we get to that point, when we explode with our stress, it comes out a certain way. Whether that is something that should happen or not, that's what we're going to talk about today, how we channel our stress. But that's what happens. When you reach that certain level of stress, it explodes. And someone or something becomes the target of that stress. And we don't want that to happen. So that's part of what we're going to talk about today. So sources of stress, sometimes it's environmental, it's in your environment. So sometimes when it's too hot, too cold, too much noise, okay, maybe physiological. So with your physical body, when you're sick, I know a lot of us have dealt with family members or even ourselves who are affected by COVID, and that creates stress in our lives. When you're not getting enough sleep, when you're not eating well, that causes stress. Sociocultural stressors, so especially in this last year because of the pandemic, our families may have experienced some financial problems, maybe even relationship problems, problems getting caught up or staying on track with school, and even cognitive factors. So your brain, okay, the way you think, your attitude, your beliefs, your own thoughts sometimes get the best of you, and that can cause you some stress as well. And then our body has a natural reaction to stress. Okay. Sometimes that reaction to stress can be very strong. If you think about a car, when you drive your car and you're not taking care of it, you don't slow down, the environment is rough, you could wear out your car. It can overheat, the tires wear out, it breaks down. That's the same with your body, your physical body, and your mental part of your body. Is that if you overwork it, if you stress it out too much, it'll stop working. And over time, stressors that build up in your physical body and on your mind can make you feel sick. You're unable to sleep, you're unable to concentrate. And so the last 3 sessions we talked about when it comes to mental health is that you have physical signs, like in your physical body, there are signs that your body tells you when you're having a mental health concern. Your head hurts, you have pain in your shoulders, you're clenching your jaw and you find pain here, or pain in your shoulders and your neck, or even find yourself clenching your fists sometimes, or your shoulders are like this. That's your body giving you signals and signs, and whether you're going to listen to it or not, that's something we're talking about this week on how you can identify some of those things so you don't overwork your body, you don't stress out your body, you don't overheat your body to become that cat that looks like this. We don't want you to look like that cat. Okay. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of an activity. So this is, what is it called? The social adjustment rating scale. So I know it's just the counselors with me here live, but I'm hoping if you're watching the recording, you'll do these. So as I'm reading each one of these events, life events, you're going to write down that number that corresponds with it. So whether if that life event applies to you within the past year, you're going to write that number down. Okay, so we're going to do this together. So as I read each one of those statements, you'll write down that number and whether or not it applies to you or not. Okay, so if you've had a death of a parent, a score of 100. If you've had an unplanned pregnancy or an abortion, 100. If you got married, 95. If your parents divorced, 90. If you've acquired a visible deformity, so if you maybe fell and you have a scar somewhere on your body and people can see it, okay, or maybe you broke a foot, so then as you walk, you're kind of like limping and people can see that, that could be something. If you've had a child, if maybe one of your parents went to jail, 70. If your parents separated, 69. If you've had a death of a brother or sister, 68. If you change in acceptance by peers, so between your friends, if you've had kind of a conflict with your friends or you're just not quite fitting in with your friends as you did before, score of a 67. Unplanned pregnancy of a sibling, okay, 64. Discovery of being an adopted child, 63. Marriage of a parent, so if your parent got married to someone new and you've gained a step parent, that's 63. Having a visible congenital deformity, so again on your body somewhere, like if something's happening to you physically and that's something people can see. Even sometimes because people stress out, like their hair starts falling out. Okay, maybe that could be part of that. Um, Score of a 58 if you had a serious illness that required you to go to the hospital. 56 if you're failing some classes here in school. 55 if you're not normally participating in extracurricular activities like you normally would have. 55 if one of your parents had to go to the hospital for whatever reason. 53 if you had a parent who might have been to jail in the last 30 days. Okay, that's a score of 53. If you broke up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, 53. If you started to date somebody new, 51. If you've been suspended from school, 50. If you've become, in the last year, if you've become involved in drugs and alcohol, 50. If you had a new little brother or sister, score of a 50. Increase in arguments between your parents. If things are happening at home and your parents are fighting more, that's 57. 47. If one of your parents lost a job, 46. Outstanding personal achievement. So if something extraordinary has happened in the last year and you worked really hard to get there, that's a 46. Your parents' financial status, if something has changed in regards to the financial or the money situation in your family. If you've been accepted to college of your choice, that's a 43. If you're a senior in high school, 42. If a sibling of yours maybe got sick and ended up in the hospital this past year, 41. If one of your parents has increasingly been absent from your home in the last year, that's 38. Maybe you've had a sibling who's left, 37. Maybe an adult, like a family member, has started living with you in your home, an aunt, an uncle, maybe a grandma or grandpa. Becoming a full member of a church. So if you joined a church in the last year, started attending church services, maybe if there's been a decrease in argument between your parents in the last year, 26, and a mother or father beginning to work in the last year, that can be a score of a 26. And so how did you score? I know that was a lot. Even if just a few of those applied to you, it kind of shows you in the last year your risk of stressful situations. And because those scores for each one of those statements were pretty high, I would say if like 2, 3 of those things applied to you in the last year, that's stressful. Okay, that means you've been dealing with some stressful stuff in the past year. You didn't even have to deal with all that, not even half of it, not even a fraction of it. Maybe just 2 or 3 of those things on that list could cause some really stressful feelings in your life. And we need to be able to deal with some of those things that we experience. So one of our favorite things to do is just to take a deep breath. And the louder that breath sounds as you inhale and as you exhale, the better it feels. There's this lady that I watch on YouTube when I do my yoga, and when she breathes out, she says your dragon breath. Like you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you do your dragon breath. So you're supposed to stick your tongue out and make an audible exhale, like, and the louder you do it, the better it feels. And I think it works. You might feel a little weird doing it, but the more you practice it, it really does help when you're having those stressful times, that you take a really good deep breath in and you exhale with that dragon breath, with an audible exhale, with your tongue sticking out. It makes all that negativity escape from your body. So understanding stress. Stress is inevitable. That means it's going to happen. There's no way you can avoid it. Okay, not all stress is bad. Stress always has a cause, but that cause can be known. So you should be able to identify what it is that's causing you stress. We can prevent, control, and cope with stress. So even though you're experiencing stress, you can control it and you can deal with it. And that's part of what we'll talk about today. So this graphic here kind of shows you kind of the progression of stress. Okay, on the left end is kind of a very low level of stress. and then it's green, so green is good. And then it becomes yellow, becomes orange, and then it becomes red, which means there are some types of stress which is good for you because it motivates you, it pushes you, it encourages you to try something new, to do something different, to take a risk, and that's good. And then it gets to a part where it's too much. It makes you feel tired and fatigued. It's exhausting. It causes panic and anxiety, and then you burn out and break down. So it's important to be able to identify normal levels of stress and healthy types of stress, and be able to identify when it gets to that, the not the red, the orange and the red parts of that stress. It's important that we're able to identify that. So when you're stressed out, how do you react? Okay. Maybe we stop coming to school, we get angry in our behaviors, maybe in our emotions, we're irritable, we're always crying, we don't laugh as much. Physiological, you'll notice that you start breathing really fast, okay, and your heart starts beating really quick. That happened to me a little earlier, and I had to ask Mr. Biden to do check, like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like my heart feels like it's jumping out of my chest, and I had to do a little bit of breathing for a few minutes, and then it went down. Thank goodness for my watch was telling me what was going on with me. But I stopped. I noticed what was happening to me physically, and I took a moment to do what I know helps me calm down, which is to stop what I was doing and to take some deep breaths. And it worked. Okay. But I could have totally ignored how I was feeling and just went on with what I was doing, and my whatever I was feeling might have gotten worse. So I've tried to get better at identifying when my body's telling me, hey, stop for a second, you need to breathe, slow down a little bit. And so that's kind of what happened to me today. So yeah, physiological with your body, muscle tension, dry mouth, or even cognitive. So when you're stressed out, you start losing your memory. You start worrying a lot. You'll notice you're focusing a lot more on negative thoughts than positive thoughts. So when you're seeing those things, you're reacting to the stress around you. And there's Home Alone. Kevin. Negative effects of stress. Okay, generates unpleasant emotions, negative thinking. It consumes all of your mental energy. You start having an interpersonal problem. Okay, that means like you're interacting with other people, like you start to not be pleasant to be around because you're so stressed out and your energy is kind of rubbing off on other people. So people end up not wanting to be around you. You start to be not unmotivated. You're not doing as well in school. You're not doing as well in your sports. You kind of notice things start happening that are negative because of your reaction to your stress. Positive effects of stress. Okay, remember there is some healthy stress, which is good for you. It prepares your body to meet challenges. So things that might be different, things that might be a little bit more challenging, things that might be hard. A little bit of stress is good because it pushes you to try something new, pushes you to try something that you haven't done before, which could result in something positive. Stress is a good source of energy. Okay, it makes you alert, attention, focus, and it could increase your performance too. So a little bit of stress is good because it kind of keeps you on your toes, keeps you alert, and pushes you to try something new and take on new challenges that you face every day. So what affects whether you're stressed? Sometimes when things happen that are unpredictable, like you weren't expecting something to happen, that causes stress. When something is out of your control, that causes stress. Whether something that's out of your control and something that's unpredictable happens all the time, like you can't keep a routine because things keep changing up on you, that can cause stress. Or even friends and family, if they let you down or you were counting on them to do something for you and they didn't, you need someone to talk to and they're not there, that could cause some stress. We're going to skip this questionnaire. So no matter what type of stress you're experiencing, it's all about how you approach it. Okay, it's all on how you perceive your world and your experiences. So optimism, which is something we promote and encourage as your school counselors, to be hopeful, to think of every event that happens to you as an opportunity to do something new, to be better, to improve yourself. Because if you're positive, if you're hopeful, if you try and improve yourself and be the best version of yourself, it's better for you. It's better for your health. It's better for your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. When you put a positive spin on things that happen to you every day, especially when they're stressful. And of course, negative. If you approach everything with a negative attitude, become angry, kind of irritable, and it affects your health as well. So it's poor health, physical, mental, and emotional. So I know sometimes it's easier said than done to just be positive, just be positive. But if you take a moment, if you're in a stressful situation, it's okay to take a moment, stop, acknowledge how you're feeling, whether you're frustrated, angry, you want to scream, you want to hit something, slam something, I don't know. Okay, take a moment and be there with your feelings. Okay, and then think about, okay, what am I going to do to help myself in this situation? What is it that I can do to make myself feel better, rather than having a knee-jerk reaction to something that you might regret later on. So I love this little girl. Mr. Bryony and I were watching this earlier. Let's watch this real quick.
Look, I can be a shark. Now my whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school. I like anything. I like my dad. I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my Allisons. I like my mom. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah. I can do anything good. Better than anyone. Better than anyone.
Right? Oh my gosh, this little girl, you can't not smile watching her energy. I can do it. I can believe it. I love this. I love that. I love it. Oh, she's got such a great attitude. It looks silly. Like when I was watching this, I was thinking, okay, if I stood in front of the mirror and started doing that, my family would probably come in and check on me like, hey, are you okay? But how it makes you feel good to watch this little girl say all these positive things to herself, to hype herself up for whatever she was going to face that day. So like we said earlier, it's all about mindset, because she could have easily sat in front of the mirror and said, oh, nobody likes me. Oh, my friends have nicer hair than me. Oh, my friends are smarter than me. Oh, my parents are so mean to me. Like she could have said total opposite of everything she was saying. But notice the difference in that. It's just her telling herself all those positive things made her feel better, made her feel light, helped her be ready to be positive and optimistic for what her day was gonna give her. And so if you feel like doing that every morning and get in front of the mirror and saying some of those things to you, you could. What we've told some students is that you get some Post-its and you write some of those things on the Post-its on your mirror. So every morning as you're brushing your teeth, you read those things to yourself, even silently, just read them to yourself, because it's a great way to start the day with some positive and get yourself ready for some of those stressful things that you might encounter. So how do you see yourself? Like that little girl. Oh my gosh, so much energy, so much positivity coming out of her. So after a stressful event, it is normal to feel anxiety, sadness, tension, fear, all of those feelings. It's normal to have those feelings after you've experienced a stressful event. And it can take time for you to adjust to a lifestyle that you're comfortable with again. So sometimes a stressful event is long-term. Okay, maybe it's a few weeks, it goes into a few months. I mean, we've been in a stressful event for the past 14 months. Yes, and now that we're all coming back to school slowly, we're all going back to work, we're trying to get back into our routines. Is this stressful? Yes, yes. Is your body, are you feeling that stress in your body? Yes. Like we, as your school counselors, we feel it because, now you have to get up, you got to get physically ready, get dressed. Okay, you've got to drive or have somebody drive you to work. You've got to be here at school and you're on all the time. And it's different. It's different than what we all have been used to being at home. And so it can be stressful. It can cause some anxiety. It can cause some tension, but it's okay. It's okay to take it slow, take it day by day, consult with your teachers, your friends, your parents for some support, because eventually, it'll feel comfortable again. So if it took us 14 months to adjust to that, distance learning, socially distanced things that we had to adjust to, it may take just as long or even longer to get back into our new normal, and that's okay. And we need to be okay to support each other in that situation. So coping with stress, it's good to know when you're experiencing that and what stress is. Now that we know that some stress is healthy and some stress is okay, it's good to have some skills to kind of help yourself deal with that support. It's good to have goals to practice self-care, a routine of self-care, especially if you're dealing with stressful situations. It's good to commit to those routines of self-care if that's what you choose to do. And it's very important that you seek support from your social network, not social media, your social network. So your friends, your family, trusted adults, your school counselors. It's good to reach out to other people for social support. So what can I do? What can you do to deal with stressful situations? It's important for you to deal with the feelings and reactions that you're feeling so that you do not become overwhelmed. So as you transition back to school, you may be sitting in class and start feeling stressed. Your heart starts beating. Maybe you get a little sweaty. You're feeling a little bit of an anxiety. It's okay to take a timeout. So if you go up to your teacher, you say, hey, teacher, I need a timeout. I'm feeling, can I go get some air? Can I go to the counseling office for a few minutes? They're totally understanding of that. But you need to be able and be comfortable acknowledging that need for yourself and reaching out to your teachers, your counselors, that you need a timeout, you need a place to chill out for a second, to find some calm. If you don't know, we do have a wellness room here in the counseling center. Of course, only one of you can be in there at a time. We're kind of changing it up a little bit for it to be COVID friendly. So if that's something that you feel like you need, you want to sit in our wellness room, listen to some calming music, maybe color for a little bit, read, you're more than welcome to do that. We encourage you to come by and use our wellness room if you need to. I'm going to skip some of this stuff. So don't do this. Okay, I know sometimes we feel like we want to bang our head against our keyboard or against our computer screen, but there are a lot other more positive things you can do to cope, problem solving, social support, looking for the silver lining to be positive. So getting some exercise. We've got these stress balls here in the counseling center. If you need one, come see me. I've got some. Meditation, yoga. Look at this kid in her bathtub. She's loving it. Okay, reading, taking a nap, listening to music or playing music. Some of you are musicians. That is a wonderful way to find calm and take yourself out of a stressful situation. This guy's loving life. Even going for a walk. Sometimes, even for us here in the counseling center, just getting out of the building and kind of walking around campus for a few minutes and coming back, that helps kind of alleviate some of the stressful things that we have to deal with here in the counseling center. This is a slide from one of our previous presentations this week. There's a whole list of things you could meditate, yoga, breathe, maybe watch some funny videos online. You can draw or paint. One of our students earlier this week was good to point out that coping strategies are not one size fits all. So just because I like yoga doesn't necessarily mean Mr. Briney is going to like yoga. Or just because I like doing my dragon breath exhale thing doesn't mean Mrs. Garcia is going to enjoy doing that too. So when finding coping strategies, you've got to find something that works for you. And it's okay. You don't have to have a whole list of coping strategies. If you've got one or two things that you know works for you, stick with it, perfect it, use it as part of your daily routine, and you'll notice that it's going to have some positive effects for you. Talking to someone is one of the most important things. And so you may not be comfortable talking to your parents about what it is that you're feeling, but we hope that you can find a friend, a trusted adult on campus, someone that you can kind of talk to. Okay, and if someone confides in you and they share some of their feelings with you, you don't necessarily have to feel pressured to answer or have a response or have a solution to whatever problem that they're having. They just want you to listen, to show empathy, that you understand that they're going through a hard time and that you're there for them to listen. They don't expect you to fix their problems. They just need somebody to kind of hear them out and provide an open ear, maybe a shoulder to cry on, maybe a hug with a mask on. But yeah, so it's important that you make that social connection with somebody and to talk it out when you need to. And so you always remember you're not alone. Your counselors are here to help you. There's 8 of us. You're all assigned to a counselor by your last name, by your alphabet, but we always encourage you all to talk to whoever you feel comfortable talking to. Okay, so you're assigned a counselor officially. So when it comes to your academics and your schedule and your grades and all that, credits, your official counselor is the person who keeps track of all that. Okay, but if you feel like you need to talk to somebody about your social, emotional, mental health concerns, we want you to talk to whoever you feel comfortable talking to, and you're more than welcome to reach out to whoever it is that you're comfortable talking to. Here are some phone numbers. Obviously, your school counselors are not on campus all day, every day. And so you or someone you know might be having a mental health concern and you need help, let's say at 8 o'clock at night. These numbers are excellent resources to you. We've had students use these before and they've told us that it was very helpful. It helped them get through what they were dealing with at that time, or help talk them through on how to help a friend of theirs that was having an issue at a particular time. And so there's text, there's actual call somebody. And so these are available to you as well when you're not on campus and you need somebody during off-school hours. And so we want to thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I don't know if Mrs. Garcia and Mr. Briney want to add anything at this time. Just their friendly smiles and their lovely faces.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, be well, Red Devils. We'll see you tomorrow for our last Student Mental Health Week presentation. Thanks.
Bye.